I jolted upright, my elbow smashing the mug off my desk. Coffee splashed across the laminate floor, scalding hot and sharp. Becca yelped, her paws skidding as she darted under the couch. My heart pounded as I dropped the laptop, pitch deck forgotten, and scrambled to grab my phone before it slipped under the chair. The screen glowed with a notification from an unknown number. I swallowed hard, pressing my back against the desk. The low hum of traffic on our quiet street felt distant, muted by the shock that knotted my chest. I stared at the thumbnail, a blurred image of Jennifer stepping out of Blake's trailer at 2 in the morning. My hand shook as I tapped to expand it. There she stood, hoodie slipping off one shoulder, hair loose, eyes looking back over her shoulder at the closed door. My breath caught. The metallic tang of yesterday's cold coffee still coated my tongue. I shoved the image into my pocket without swiping closed. My legs felt rubbery as I rose, each step toward the living room a muted drumbeat in my ears. Becca padded out from under the couch, nose sniffing the spilled coffee. I crouched to ruffle her ears, grounding myself. Her brown eyes searched mine, and I forced a calm I didn't feel. The front door clicked. Jennifer's boots tapped the hardwood as she crossed the entryway. I leaned against the kitchen island, phone in hand, watching her move. She didn't glance my way, just tossed her bag on the console and flicked on the overhead light. Becca bounded forward, tail wagging as Jennifer dropped to scratch her behind the ears. I swallowed, lifting my voice so it wouldn't crack. "Hey." She straightened, brushing hair from her face. "Long shoot," she said, voice weary. "Blake and I stayed late to polish the scene for tomorrow's episode." Becca nudged Jennifer's leg, and for an instant, I envied their innocent reunion. I steadied my breathing, forcing words into a flat, even tone. "Want something to drink?" I tilted my head toward the fridge. Jennifer nodded and patted over. I watched her open the fridge, the soft click echoing. She closed it again, water bottle in hand, and turned to me. That's when I held up the phone. The screen lay dark, but she knew. Her face blanched. I crossed my arms, jaw tight. "What's this?" Her eyes flicked to my hand, then to the floor. She swallowed. "Thomas, I can explain." I lifted one shoulder, trying to stay steady. "I got a message, an unknown number sent me a screenshot of you leaving Blake's trailer." The words tasted bitter. "At 2 a.m. She turned away, biting her lip. "Look, it's not what you think." I took a breath, recalling the scratches of fingernails on the hardwood as I retrieved my phone. "I know you're close to Blake, he's been helping you with lines, right? But this feels different." My voice was low, controlled. Jennifer set the water on the counter, eyes clouded with guilt. "He's been supportive, after every tough day, we'd grab coffee, go over dialogue. It just happened." I let that sink in. The apartment lights flickered overhead, and for a moment, the only sound was Becca's gentle panting. I glanced toward our framed wedding photo on the mantel, us under a golden sunrise, smiling. I felt a weight settle in my chest. "I haven't slept," I said quietly. "But you haven't been honest." My fingers tapped the countertop. "Show me your phone." Jennifer hesitated, then held it out. I swiped to her messaging app and saw a string of texts: "Miss you, need you, tonight." All from Blake. My pulse spiked, my vision narrowed to the phone. She blinked, tears forming. "It was nothing more than friendship," she whispered. I closed my eyes, fighting the urge to lash out. Nothing is nothing when you're hiding it. My heart felt hollow. I saw the messages, blurry as they are, I saw enough. Her shoulders shook as she sank onto the couch. Becca whined and settled beside her. I pressed my fingers to my temples, steadying the storm in my head. The hum of the refrigerator sounded deafening now. "I need time," I told her. "Time to figure out what to do with all this." My voice was even, though rage simmered beneath. I turned toward the window, watching headlights trace lines across the dark street. The city felt indifferent, lampposts casting long shadows, oblivious to my unraveling life. Behind me, Jennifer's sobs started soft, then caught in her throat. Becca nudged my hand, offering silent comfort. I knelt to scratch her ears. "I'm sorry you're dragged into this, buddy," I whispered. I rose slowly, the weight of betrayal pressing on my shoulders. I would gather every message, every timestamp, every ounce of proof. And when I had it all, I would confront this, steady, prepared, unflinching. Because in that moment, I realized that redemption wouldn't come from denial. It would come from uncovering the truth, no matter how painful. I lie awake, staring at the ceiling fan's blades slicing through the darkness. Becca's soft snores drift from the bedroom doorway, but sleep eludes me. In the dim glow of my phone's screen, I scroll through Jennifer's past messages, one from 3 months ago, "Can't wait to see you tonight, smiley face, signed, BS." I force myself to stop reading, but the words linger like a wound. It wasn't always like this. 6 months ago, Jennifer burst into our apartment, eyes bright and breathless, brandishing a callback notice. "They want me back for a chemistry read with Blake," she'd said, voice trembling with excitement. I remember how I felt then, pride warming me from chest to fingertips, because I believed she was on the cusp of her big break. She described Blake as generous with tips, someone who treated every co-star with genuine respect. In those early days, I trusted that the late-night rehearsals and extra script work meant nothing more than dedication to her craft. November began innocuously. Jennifer's schedule became a whirlwind of auditions, callbacks, and meetings with her acting coach. I returned home from investor pitches to find her hunched over the coffee table, script pages spread around her like confetti. She'd smile at me, hair tousled, eyeliner smudged from a long day, and recite her lines with such vulnerability that I felt a twinge of admiration. She cooked pasta with pesto every other night, and we'd eat by candlelight, planning weekend getaways that never materialized because the industry moves fast. Her laughter echoed off the kitchen walls as I told her how confident I was she'd book the role. But then came subtle shifts. I noticed unconfirmed meetings on her calendar labeled only as set late, and her phone would buzz with "work session, 11:30 p.m., texted from Blake's name." She'd brush it off when I asked, saying it was a mentor-mentee thing, Blake's tips on delivery, tone, and emotional nuance. She labeled his texts with BS in her phone as Blake set, so any casual glance wouldn't raise suspicion. I remember the first time I saw that label, I smiled, thinking it was just her quirky way of staying organized. December's holidays brought more red flags. We hosted friends for a small Christmas party, and Jennifer left early to prep for a network screening. I touched her elbow when she slipped on her coat. Her lipstick was a shade darker, more sultry, than any I'd gifted her. I asked where she'd been, and she stammered something about picking up a last-minute gift for her acting coach. I nodded, but my stomach churned. That night, I found a florist's receipt in our trash can, red roses delivered to Jennifer Mills at 11:45 p.m. downtown. The card read only "for your performance. Blake." My pulse hammered, but I shoved the memory aside, telling myself gift-giving was normal in their industry. By January, I spotted more patterns. 3 separate, late nights on set, all ending around 1 a.m., yet rather than come home, she'd text me, "Staying at Blake's to go over lines for tomorrow." I'd yawn and say, "Good idea," though my gut twisted each time. I noticed a lingering scent on her scarf one morning, a hint of Blake's signature cologne, something woodsy and slightly spicy. When I touched her shoulder and breathed in that fragrance, she laughed, smoothing her hair. I bumped into Blake grabbing coffee. He let me keep his scarf because it was chilly on set. I believed her, because I wanted to. Late January brought a weekend, writing retreat she swore was crucial. She kissed my forehead as I left for an all-day pitch meeting, texting, "Be back Sunday night. Love you." When I returned Sunday after dark, Becca's bowl was full, her tail wagging as I walked in. But Jennifer wasn't there. The apartment felt hollow. The TV flickered static, half-empty takeout containers sat on the counter. I called her phone, straight to voicemail. Then I noticed her purse abandoned by the entrance, a single strand of her hair caught on the zipper. I paced the living room until finally her key rattled. She stepped in around midnight, eyes wide, makeup smudged. The air smelled faintly of jasmine, another cologne, pound not hers. "I had to stay late finishing the reel," she said, voice pitched high. "Sorry I woke you." I nodded, exhaustion fogging the edges of my suspicion. I crawled into bed next to her, pushing the unease down so it wouldn't keep me awake. February's Valentine's Day arrived. I found a card on the kitchen counter, written in her hand, "For the man who believes in me." Inside, scrawled by Blake's hand, "You light up every scene." B. My heart sank as I read it. There was no other signature, no other name. I stared at the folded paper, the ink smudged where I'd traced the signature 3 times. I felt a wave of nausea but forced a smile when she appeared holding 2 glasses of wine. We toasted and clinked glasses, but every sip tasted of betrayal. Despite the growing evidence, I clung to denial. I told myself journalists had photographed actors hugging on cold mornings, captured out of context. I recalled moments of genuine closeness, her hand on my back during a particularly grueling investor meeting, our shared jokes about Becca's sleep habits, the way she'd lean into me when she thought no one was watching. I needed those reminders, even though they felt like grasping at straws. Yet, every time Jennifer mentioned Blake, my pulse tightened. I'd catch her glancing at her phone with that secret smile I hadn't seen since our early months together. I found a lipstick-stained coffee cup in the sink one morning, this one a deep burgundy, not the rose shade I'd given her, and she said it was from a gift from her stylist. I filed that away in my mind, burgundy, 11 p.m., Blake's trailer. Each piece built another layer of doubt. By March, I noticed our conversations shifting from future plans to guarded questions. She stopped asking about my day, I stopped asking about hers. I'd return home hoping to share a laugh, only to find her curled on the couch, eyes red, phone clutched in her hands. When I asked if she was okay, she'd murmur, "Just tired," then press a kiss to my cheek before drifting to bed. I'd sit beside her, burning with unsaid words, until sleep claimed me. Now, as I lie awake, the clock inches toward dawn. I twist the red rose receipt between my fingers, tracing the faded date, December 18th. I open my notes app and type a list, dates, times, gifts, messages, cents. I know I'm piecing together a puzzle where the picture has already been painted in lies. The hum of traffic has grown louder, headlights carving lines across the bedroom wall. Becca stretches and whimpers, nudging my hand as if urging me to action. With a deep breath, I rise from the bed, leaving the tangled sheets behind. In the pale light, I gather the printed texts, the florist's receipt, and every lingering coffee cup from the sink. I place them on the kitchen counter, arranging them in neat piles, evidence of a friendship that blurred into something more. The hum of the refrigerator seems deafening now, its steady drone echoing the turmoil in my chest. I stand, running my hand through my hair, and look at our wedding photo on the mantel, us smiling under an autumn sky, so full of hope. My reflection in the stainless steel fridge door looks strained, hollow eyes, tense jaw. But beneath the exhaustion, something solidifies, clarity. I will gather every shred of proof, every red flag ignored, before I confront Jennifer. And when I do, I will not be the man who fell for small lies. I will be the man who demands the truth, no matter how painful. Because remaining blind any longer would be the real betrayal, to myself, to our vows, and to Becca. I wake before dawn, the muted hum of the refrigerator and distant traffic nudging me into action. Becca pads into the kitchen, stretching as I shuffle to the counter. I brew a pot of black coffee, bitter, grounding, and sit at the island to open my laptop. The folder labeled Gen_evidence glares back at me. I double-click and review each file, screenshots of late-night texts from BS, bank statements showing charges at high-end restaurants past midnight, and that January hotel receipt stamped at 2:15 a.m. My hands shake, but I force myself to breathe deeply, to treat these items as data rather than wounds. After downloading backup software, I drag every document onto an external drive. The progress bar creeps forward, each percentage point feeling like a small victory. When the backup finishes, I copy the drive's contents to a secure cloud folder. I label the local drive, evidence_backup_JM, and tuck it into the drawer beside the kitchen knife block, out of sight but ready if needed. Becca watches from her bed, head tilted, as if sensing I'm bracing for something inevitable. By 7 a.m., I've showered and dressed in a neutral gray button-down and dark jeans, clothes that won't draw attention when I leave. Jennifer still sleeps upstairs, oblivious. I slip out the front door with Becca at my heels and drive to the office of Mark Reynolds, a divorce attorney recommended by a close friend. I grip the steering wheel, palms slick, wondering how quickly my life will shift. Mark's office is a modest brick building near the courthouse. Inside, the receptionist directs me to a conference room lined with law books and framed diplomas. I place my organized folder, printed texts, bank statements, hotel receipts, and a timeline spreadsheet, on the table. Everything I've gathered, I say, voice steady though my heart pounds. I need to know how to protect myself, my assets, and Becca. Mark, a composed man in his 50s with steel gray hair, scans the documents. You've done well documenting this, he says, tapping a pen on his notepad. First, we file for a temporary restraining order. It will freeze joint accounts and prevent Jennifer from transferring or selling marital assets. Next, we prepare a petition for temporary custody of Becca. Under Louisiana law, pets are property, but courts generally favor the primary caregiver. Your vet records and proof you handle daily care are essential. I nod, swallowing relief and dread in equal measure. I've included her vet invoices and my logs of feeding and walks, I say. I also want to document any future interactions between Jennifer and Blake. Good, Mark replies. Continue gathering evidence, emails, texts, credit card statements. Install discrete cameras at home to monitor entries and exits, especially late at night. And get affidavits from any friends or neighbors who can attest to Jennifer's unusual comings and goings. I'll draft the restraining order and custody petition. Once we serve her, the court should schedule hearings within 10 days. I fold the checklist he gives me and slip it into my jacket pocket. Thank you, I say. His steady gaze reassures me that I'm on the right path. Leaving his office, I feel the morning sun slice through the trees, lighting the street in hopeful streaks. Becca trots beside me in the parking lot, tail wagging, as if sensing the world shifting under our feet. Back home, I retrieve 2 Wi-Fi-enabled cameras I bought silently days ago, small, unobtrusive devices disguised as smoke detectors. In the living room, I climb a stool and secure the first camera in the corner near the front door, angling it to capture anyone entering or leaving. In the hallway outside our bedroom, I install the second camera aimed at the door frame. I connect each to the home network, EntryCam and HallCam, and confirm on my phone that the feeds show crisp daylight and Becca lounging on her rug. Activating date and time-stamped recording, I swallow the lump in my throat, aware that I'm surveilling someone I once trusted. Next, I spread the printed bank statements across the kitchen island. I circle every charge over $100 at West Hollywood establishments after 11 p.m., dinner tabs that match Blake's known favorite bistros. I highlight 2 Bistro Noir invoices, December 2nd and January 18th, both around $180. Beside those, I place the hotel receipt from January 5th, itemizing room service and late-night meals. On my laptop, I open a new spreadsheet titled Late-Night_Transactions. I create columns labeled Date, Time, Vendor, Amount, and Notes. I copy each suspicious entry, noting dinner per Blake's suggestion, wrap party, unexplained. Each row cements my resolve. By midday, I drive to the notary's office. I carry Mark's drafts, the sworn affidavits affirming my first-hand knowledge of Jennifer's affair. At the notary counter, I sign the documents, each flourish of my pen feeling like a concession of what's been lost. I leave with notarized copies ready to file, clutching them as though they could shield me from further pain. That afternoon, I meet our neighbor, Teresa, who has agreed to lend her testimony. Over coffee in my kitchen, she tells me she heard Jennifer leaving late-night writing sessions 3 times last month, first at midnight, then at 1:30 a.m., and most recently at 2 a.m. She describes seeing headlights sweep past our porch and Jennifer's car parked near Blake's trailer. Teresa's statements corroborate what I've documented. I record her words in an affidavit template and hand her the pen to sign. Becca rests her head on my foot, as if offering comfort. On the drive home, I replay every step, filing the restraining order, preparing the custody petition, installing cameras, gathering affidavits. My phone chimes with a reminder, submit TRO paperwork. I pull into the driveway and double-check EntryCam. Becca wags her tail in the feed, giving me a small, anchored smile. The world outside my monitors feels simultaneously safe and threatening. Back inside, I lock doors and draw window blinds. I scan the camera feeds on my phone. EntryCam shows no movement. HallCam reveals our hallway bathed in dim late-afternoon light. Conveyor belts of solitude materialize in the cold glow of the screens. I set a timer on my phone to check the feeds every hour. That evening, I sit at the island and draft a statement to my closest friends, Mia and Jake, asking if they've noticed anything unusual. I feel a pang of guilt, imagining the shadow of suspicion cast over our shared memories. Yet I know I need allies. I send the messages, I'm going through something personal. If you have any information about Jennifer's late-night activities, or heard about her spending time with Blake, please tell me. I'm gathering evidence. I sink back in my chair and open my spreadsheet again, reviewing each entry. The soft whine of the refrigerator underscores the silence. Becca licks my hand, reminding me I'm not alone. I take another sip of coffee, savoring its austerity. My phone buzzes, a reply from Mia. I saw Jen leaving Blake's trailer around 1 a.m. last month. We can talk. I feel a surge of relief and dread in equal measure. By 10 p.m., my eyes grow heavy. Becca settles beside me on the couch, and I scratch her ears, grateful for her steady presence. I stand and close the blinds, checking the camera feeds one last time, an empty living room and a darkened hallway. I exhale, feeling the day's tension ebb slightly. Even so, I know tonight's sleep will be restless. Lying in bed, I stare at the ceiling. Tomorrow, I will file the restraining order and custody petition, serve Jennifer, and begin freezing accounts. Each step feels like placing a brick in a fortress to protect my fractured life. My heartbeat slows as I focus on Becca's rhythmic breathing. In the quiet darkness, I let resolve harden into determination. I will navigate this betrayal with every ounce of evidence I've gathered, unflinching and steady, because no matter how painful, the truth must come out. I sit on the edge of the sofa, the evidence envelope on the coffee table. Becca pads in, sensing tension. I smooth my shirt as I hear Jennifer and Blake enter after having dinner. I rise, arranging the printed texts, bank statements, and that January hotel receipt before me. Jennifer and Blake step into the living room. She's in a simple black dress, he wears a leather jacket. My heart hammers, but I keep my voice steady. Do you want to sit? I gesture to the couch. Jennifer sinks down, Becca follows her. Blake stands behind her, arms crossed. I slide the envelope forward. This is everything I've collected, your late-night texts, need you, missing you, and charges at Café Lumière at 1:30 a.m. on December 12th. That hotel receipt shows you two dining at 2:15 a.m. on January 5th. I pause as Jennifer's face flushes. Blake's jaw tightens. I also have video proof. I hold up a flash drive. Hallway cam recorded you leaving at 2:12 a.m. last Thursday. I connect to the TV, a time-stamped clip shows Jennifer hurrying past the hallway. She pauses, glances toward the camera's glow, then moves on. Jennifer closes her eyes, shoulders trembling. Blake's expression hardens. I continue, you told me you were editing your reel or doing extra rehearsals. Every time you said, work session, you were driving here. My voice is calm but cold. I loved you. I trusted you. Yet you hid this. Becca whines softly at Jennifer's feet. Jennifer strokes her head, tears forming. Blake shifts uneasily. I press on. I filed for a restraining order today. Joint accounts are frozen, any assets you move will be inaccessible. I've spoken to my lawyer. Blake steps toward Jennifer. Thomas, we never meant. I hold up a hand. Save it. My gaze flares. Blake, stay out of this. Jennifer, your apologies don't erase lies or fix what you broke. Jennifer's voice cracks. I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I stand and meet her eyes. Sorry doesn't rebuild trust. I want a divorce. Move your things tomorrow. I look at Becca. She stays with me. Jennifer's sob echoes as Blake steps back. She extends a trembling hand. Thomas, please. I take a breath, feeling resolve harden. We'll handle the rest through our lawyers. Goodbye. I walk out onto the porch with Becca at my side. The afternoon sun feels harsh but clarifying. I slip the flash drive into my jacket pocket, knowing the truth is now irreversible. I sign the final divorce papers at the courthouse just before noon. The judge's gavel falls lightly, more a formality than a blow. I walk out onto Canal Street clutching the decree. Jennifer has relinquished any claim to my startup equity, our joint accounts are permanently divided, and Becca is officially mine. The sun beats down, humid and golden, as if acknowledging a new beginning. Back at the apartment, I gather Jennifer's remaining belongings into cardboard boxes, her scripts, framed headshots, and the few pieces of kitchenware she still owned. Each item feels like an exhale, releasing the weight of what was. I trace my fingers over the cracked wedding photo on the mantel before placing it inside a box labeled Memories. Next to it, I set a fresh Polaroid of Becca perched on my saxophone case, tongue lolling, eyes bright. That Polaroid now takes pride of place on the mantel, a symbol of loyalty and unbroken love. The afternoon sun filters through new linen curtains I hung this morning. I clear the coffee table and spread out my laptop. A blank document titled, Startup and Self, glares back, my blog, intended to chronicle this journey. I write the first lines, today, I reclaimed my life. This space is for anyone who's felt shattered by betrayal but refused to be defined by it. I'll share how I rebuilt, one step at a time. My fingers hesitate before I type Becca's bedtime routine as the first post's title. I plan to combine practical advice, securing evidence, navigating legal steps, with raw reflections on heartbreak. As evening approaches, I sling my saxophone case over my shoulder and head toward Preservation Hall. Becca trots beside me, tail wagging. Stepping inside, the scent of varnished wood and brass warms me. I join the quartet on stage, closing my eyes as the first notes rise. The clarinet and trumpet weave around my saxophone, each measure a salve. I imagine each riff as a statement, I'm still here. I endure. After the set, I walk Becca through Jackson Square. Tourists drift like ghosts under the lampposts, and I pause by the statue of Andrew Jackson. The Mississippi glimmers under the streetlights. I lift Becca's leash to my chest, feeling her steady breath. In that moment, I know I've reclaimed myself, my career, my home, and the simple joy of her companionship. Later, I return to my blog draft and outline the next posts, setting boundaries, rebuilding trust in yourself, and finding joy in new routines. I promise transparency, knowing it may help someone else find their footing in the aftermath of betrayal. As late-night traffic hums outside, I close my laptop. Becca curls beside me on the couch, her warm presence a quiet assurance. Tomorrow, I'll pitch investors again, refine my business model, and take more steps forward. For now, I rest in the calm of this reclaimed life. Betrayal fractured me, but I'm piecing myself back together, steady, resilient, and ready for whatever comes next.